some things that Yassine hit on last night was betting on themselves,
Correct.
right? Entrepreneurs, we are crazy.
You remember that movie Bruce Almighty, where he's like, man, when you ask God for patience, do you think He gives you patience, or do you think He does something to try your patience?
Until you believe in yourself that you deserve it, all those prayers will never be fulfilled.
The one mistake that people make is they're trying to do too many things. So recently I've taken a look, what's making the most money, and then double down on it.
Correct.
Because if you spend your time trying to make money 5 different ways, it's split 20%.
For sure.
So, and I learned that you can have a complicated product, but your process can be simple. Not just look at how much money you're making, look at how you're making the money. You know, last night was one of those, it was a curated event, you know, and why is that different? It was special, it was intentional, it was elevated, it was uplifting. So I think that every time you host these Cigars and Conversations event, they just continue to get better. And if you look at the people that are now coming into that circle, they are being elevated and uplifted. And, you know, if some people don't feed the bill, they're being asked to leave. But, you know, to me, it's so important that in my limited time that I can spend with people, it's spent with great, amazing people.
Right.
So for me, that means everything to be able to go to, you know, an event and get 1 to 2 hours where you're just being able to, you know, conjugate with really like-minded individuals.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%. And I'll tell you honestly, man, sometimes you bump into these people because everybody's so like-minded. Sometimes you don't even know how magical the room is. So I had some people who had already tried some of my products, or already kind of knew what I was doing, and it was just like an organic conversation. One thing led to another. But to his point, because you have created that atmosphere in the room, you know, it's just so many like-minded people, and it just continues to compound. And everybody brings value, but it comes off super natural and super organic. And like he said, the people who obviously, you know, can't relate or can't bring nothing to the table, they're going to eliminate themselves anyway. So that's the same thing at any time.
I will eliminate it.
I know you will. I know you will.
What's the number one rule again?
Don't be a dick.
Yes, sir.
No, for
You
sure.
know, and I think that that high level group that you bring in, like, let's face it, entrepreneurship, it's painful, it's hard, and you know that every single person there has felt the same way that you have felt, maybe not now, but before.
Correct.
And the lessons that they can give you, that could save you, you know, a full year headache. It could save you financially. So I can't explain how important it is to be able to go and people don't judge you. You can ask them these specific questions. And the great thing is you really have no idea what all those people do in there. Everyone does something different, but everyone does something amazing.
Yeah. Like when Yassine was walking through the different steps of when Barry started and what they went through. I mean, even though I had been in the restaurant business like them prior to the pandemic, that was some tears shed when they were talking about what they were going through, and quite frankly, when they just opened. Because, you know, customers don't get that. Customers don't get it. They don't care. They don't understand, like, okay, shit, you know, we just opened 3 months ago, and now they're talking about here goes COVID, shut down, limited seating. You know, all of those challenges I remember. Restaurant business, half the time you catching hell with the seating you have at maximum capacity. Now you tell me you're going to limit my seating? I mean, come on. Like, so a lot of those same challenges, to Sean's point, I think people can relate, but you're not embarrassed and you're not ashamed of it because people are obviously still standing tall.
And, you know, 2 things that people will talk about, are you doing good or are you doing bad? Correct. It's never neutral.
Never.
So it's always one or the other.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Some things that Yassine hit on last night was betting on themselves.
Correct.
Right? Entrepreneurs, we are crazy.
Yeah,
I mean,
gotta be.
work that 24 hours, you know, and he said a couple of things. He goes, Derek Stevens asked us to open early. So we had to come out of our pocket a little bit more, and we did it. And Derek said, I'm not going to open the hotel. We're going to open the casino first. So they're like, so what do? We bet on ourselves, right? And then he talked about also that service. He goes, if my phone is not ringing, something is wrong.
Yes.
I'll call T-Mobile. Hey, is my phone working?
Correct.
He goes, so it's never a bother, right? And I think sometimes that was a good reminder for me, because sometimes I get super busy and I got to remember, love those who've loved you.
Yes.
That part, yeah.
Right? Because you're always chasing and you forget about some of the people, right? Yeah. So he goes, if my phone's not ringing, I'm doing something wrong. And then when he talked about Coke, he said, one of the servers comes to us and he goes, if you're in the restaurant, you're not looking to add cost. But this is a guy on the front line. I don't know what the customers are asking for. My job is to give them what the customers want. Yeah. So we got Coke Zero. Like, I didn't know that's what people wanted.
100%. What I was pretty impressed to see, coming to talk about that entrepreneur, that crazy part, that these people put their own money up. And no offense to the major corporations that have food groups or whatever the case may be, but it's a totally different level. Like to Yassine's point, I think his exact words were life savings is what he said. He didn't say a couple dollars.
Stutter.
Yeah, he said life
Said
savings.
it twice.
And not just him, all that whole group, and so it's a different effect. But to your point, when somebody's bet on themselves and essentially all in, you're gonna get a totally different level of ownership, and you see it trickles down with the staff and everything.
And you can see the unwavering level of hospitality and what it can do in your business. All of our businesses right here run completely off of hospitality. I try to instill that in my staff, and like we got some of the most eclectic people in the building at all times. We have to do an exceptional job for them. But honestly, I feel that I need to do that with everyone. 100%. You don't need to be a celebrity or a professional athlete for me to give you an unwavering amount of hospitality. In all honesty, sometimes people, man, they just need someone to give that undivided attention to them, to their body, and it means more than anything else. I feel like, and the relationships that are fostered off of that hospitality is truly incredible.
Yeah, because you got to think, especially in this town, right? You're either on hospitality type owner on the ownership level, or you're either on the actual employee level. But regardless, you are either somehow affected by service. And so where you're getting shitty service, where you're getting good service, right? And not everybody here is in those type of industries, but a majority of this town is built off of that. Let's be realistic, right? And so you can just tell right away. And I just feel like getting back to that is the key. And Barry's represents that. I mean, we talk about all the time, right? It's like nothing against these major corporations that have come in here, but I think that touch has been lost, at least in my opinion, when I go out places, right? Overall as a whole. And to the Yassine's point last night, if you're going to charge people more, and a lot of these Vegas rates have gone up, then you damn sure got to be on point with the service. Correct. People will pay for it. They don't mind that. I mean, who goes on vacation dead ass broke? But when I get there, at least do depart and service me accordingly.
And it's the client and the customer experience that, number one, if you got to have both. Number two, when you satisfy both every time, you get that repeat business. You get that repeat customer. And here's the thing. If you do good, maybe 2 people will talk about you. If you do something bad and have a bad experience, now it's 10 to 15 times fold of how much that experience is actually going to hurt your business. And in my opinion, it's as easy to do good as it is to do bad.
For sure. And like last night, your event was a representation of that. So I don't think people get the domino or trickle down effect of how deep the service can compound. So let's be realistic. You obviously had a great relationship with the people at Barry's. That's what led you to Legacy Club to even want to even have your event there. Let's be realistic, right? If it was shitty service at Barry's, we never would have got the Legacy. And so they don't get that how like this one room is going to get you to the next room. But if you're so short-sighted on stuff, you don't understand the long-term play. And not to mention, all of the people that enjoyed your event last night will go back. So it's not just you. It's like, okay, you brought 200 people. Okay, now that 200 is going to tell people. To Sean's point, there was people who weren't in your group that were looking like, what's going on? And so that's the thing, man. You got to play the long game with some of this stuff, man.
But it goes back to service and relationships. Yassine, you were there at one of the events that Yassine was at, and after that event, he sent me a text message. I want to do something for you, right? It is that community where we're all here to help build each other up, not competitive.
Nope.
Right? It's just like, Yassine was like, you've always invited me. I love what you're doing. Your guys spend money. It's a good group of guys. And we tried to do this last year and just timing gets crazy.
Correct.
Yes.
So when Chris comes over, he goes, so when are we going to do it again? And I'm like, well, what do you mean? He goes, Craig's talking about it. He's picked up some clients. I love what you guys are doing. So then I go, well, if we're going to do it, like we're going to bring in residency and project well-being. Right. Those are my dogs right there. 100%. They're into fitness for stadium, right?
Come on.
We can bring some stuff in. We can pack this out. We'll bring a mob.
For sure. Yeah. And I think, because let's be realistic, right? I think with some of the stuff that's going on with the economy, I think people are spending differently. And so when they are going to spend, they're trying to figure out how can they get value and how do I feel when I spend. So if I only got $100, where does my $100 go, and how do I feel when I'm there? And then, quite frankly, if I feel good, I'm coming back and I'm going to spend more.
Absolutely.
Right? So they're not broke, but it's just almost like a money allocation. Where do I want to go? And when I go there, if I feel like $1 million, then I will continue to support you and be there. I mean, like so many people I talked to last night at your event, that was the first time they'd been in a Legacy Club.
Yeah.
They were like, man, this is amazing. I didn't even know this view. I didn't know they had this side or this section, or they hadn't even heard of the place. I'm like, yeah, man, like, this is amazing. But to your point, had it not been for your event, then they never would have got there. But the only reason they came to your event because they felt welcome, or they felt it was a good fit for them.
And let's talk about that a little bit. Is the difference between having a mind of being competitive is so limited versus being creative is an abundance mindset. Now, how important has that been for your growth and yourself and your business?
Yeah, man, it's important. I believe when you turn the I to we, it compounds, right? I'm limited, but we, shit,
Right.
watch out.
So I'm gonna tell you something. That he gonna like this one. He always watching. He always calls me the deacon or the pastor or whatever. So at the bottom they competing, at the top they're collaborating.
Yep.
And so that's how I see it. And unfortunately, you can't change everybody's mindset. But at that top level, and it's not just financially top. It's an elite mindset is what I'm talking about. It's not a bank account, but it's the mindset. You understand the collaboration, and you understand by showing love, I'm gonna get more business. By being inclusive. Right, for the people who do make sense, I'm gonna get it on the back end.
And here's how the networking has been in the last year for me. So, a circle, you're just going to meet different people. When we started hanging out, we brought each of our company's network and net worth into play, and that started doing compiling interest. And I feel like that was the elevation there.
Yeah,
because each person is leveraging off of the other people's work that they've already done for 10 or 15 years.
Correct.
But we're all giving it equal. So it's not really leverage. It's just we're utilizing the tools and resources from all the people that you guys have met individually, people that I've met. We're bringing them together. That's how you grow fast.
100%. But
It's a compound effect.
Yeah, and they feel good. Because if they didn't, then we never would have got this last 15 years on that belt. Right? If you were, you know what I'm saying? If you was a dickhead or you piece of shit person, you never would have made it this far. So it's that track record, that human track record that I think they bought into. It all helps itself. Right? You look better at the gym, you're gonna look better in my clothes.
Yep.
Right? You look better at the gym, you look better in my clothes. Chances are you're probably gonna make some more money. Now you're ready to buy that house.
What's
right?
Dion say?
Well, yeah, you look good.
You look good. You play good. You feel good. They pay good.
You ain't hard to find.
I'm not hard to find.
Yeah.
I'm not hard to find
at all.
So I know that we all have our set routines and stuff. What is one daily habit that has caused you to make money?
Oh man, I think for me, and Rich probably gonna say the same thing, but just constantly showing up. I think, long story short, I go back to my Jumanji. No matter what type of day I have, just still clocking in and still just showing up, right? And so I think that's been the overall. And trust me, that's harder said than done. But I think for me, that's it. I mean, so many days where I just didn't even want to get out of bed or do anything ended up being a great day or a great morning or whatever. That's hard because to a certain extent, you are doing an acting job.
Yeah.
Because when you go to these places, number one, no one gives a fuck about your shitty ass day. Nobody cares about any of your personal problems, right? So you got to go in this thing. If you're wearing that on your face, you're not going to attract a positive energy.
That's it.
So that's the hardest part. The hardest part is showing up. But then it's not just, I'm here. It's literally changing your face to attract what you're trying to receive. That's been the biggest key and the hardest part for me, honestly, because I suffer, just like any entrepreneur, you're gonna be depressed. You're gonna have to go through things. You're the leader, but that's the secret. And although they really ain't no secret, but that's the advice, and that's the hardest part for at least for me personally.
Yeah, I think for me was learning what I can work on and what I should work on. So what I liked working on was all the shit that I was good at.
Yeah.
And recently, and I feel like I've only truly learned about my business in the last 4 months, because now I'm working on all the paperwork, all the SOPs, all the critical levels of foundation. And that is not fun.
Mm-hmm.
It is not fun to sit in the office for 12 hours a day and work on those things. But I know I can see the impact that's making, because now as the owner and the CEO, what do you want to do? You want to put the right people in the right place, and you want to get the wrong people out of their place right away,
Quickly.
emotionlessly.
Yeah.
So I'm learning how to do that now, and I can see that that is the true way out of running, a business and turning it into a real corporation.
Correctly.
Yeah, for me, man, it is. I wanna. It's my relationship with God, right? Like I gotta wake up and I gotta remind myself to be grateful, even if it's bad, right?
Mhm.
Because a lot of people don't have the stuff that I complain about,
Correct.
and it's easy to forget what you've got. So for me, it's asking God for help, right?
Correct.
And then it is reminding myself that I am in control of how I feel, not you, not them, not my bank account. I am in charge of who I am. And I got to remind myself, and I tell this to my son going to school, we are present, purposeful, and powerful.
Mm-hmm.
If I walk with that, then I know I got God on my back.
Correct. Now,
Right? So, and that is that, and that is that other thing. Tony Robbins says our emotions are controlled by our emotions.
Yes.
So we have to get out of bed. You've got to move, right? You've got to shock yourself and remind yourself, I'm a bad mofo,
Correct.
right? I've done more than what people that have started with more have done. Correct. And I will continue to grow that. So it's like giving you, I posted last night, right? Who has to give themselves a hype song, right? Because it takes a lot to go in there and get started.
Yes, it does.
Right? So you got to go up, and that's what's so great about dinner is that with you guys, I get it.
Decompress.
I can decompress. How was it? What'd y'all like? What did you like? And then going home and telling my wife, hey, get up. How was it? She's asleep, and she goes, how was it? It was great. She goes, go to bed.
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, she goes, okay, I'll see you in the morning.
Right.
It was good, right? It was good, right? So it's that reminder.
Right.
Listen, I'm very grateful for what I got, but I yearn for more.
Correct.
And in order for me to yearn for more, I've got to be in the right mindset to accept it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? So doubt tramples dreams. So I got to believe that, dream bigger, right? But believe bigger.
And I just want to touch on something because I anyone that's listening, I don't think they realize how important the relationship you have with your family is, and the way that you speak about your kids and the way that you show up for them. Like you're literally creating a legacy, because what you're showing them is how to truly live a life full of abundance, but also be appreciative of the things that they have. I feel like sometimes, I grew up with a hard life, so I'm going to make sure my kids have a hard life. I disagree on that.
Yeah.
But teach them what they have and what it means. And then obviously, there's another side of life where people aren't as fortunate, and show them how to be caring and giving as well. So we know when you have those interactions with your kids, especially I'm going to be a first-time dad. Like I want to have those interactions with my daughter as well, because that's the legacy. That's the legacy build. Especially in the world we live in today.
Yeah. So I got a couple questions, and I got back. I know one more key thing. So the first question is, you remember that movie Bruce Almighty, where he's like, man, when you ask God for patience, do you think He gives you patience, or do you think He does something to try your patience? And so that's my question to you. I know how intentional you are with your purpose and how you try to align, and that's, like you said, that's how you kick your day off, being grateful but not complacent and not comfortable. How are you intentional with your prayers and your requests? Because I know you're very ambitious and you're a person, right? Like for example, okay, I want $100 million. Okay, well, you ain't thought about all the shit it's gonna take. Once I give you the $100 million, you ain't prayed for none of the stuff to manage it, to protect it. You just pray, God, give me $100 million, and okay, bam, you got it. Now what happens? So walk me through like big brother advice. That's my first question. I got one more after that one. Go ahead, tell me.
I believe that God will give you exactly what you ask for if you are clear and specific, right? So I asked for abundance, right? And I had a friend of mine walk me through once. He goes, God won't give you if you feel you don't deserve it, right? So that's also something I have to work on. I do deserve the gifts I'm asking for.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not responsible for the how. I'm responsible for the feeling of what I'm asking for. God's going to figure out how it's going to work, right? So it's a lot of people will go, I can't dream for that because I don't know how to get there. Well, you're not in charge of getting there. You're in charge of your daily activities, your hustle, right? God will give it to you, and you got to take those lumps. Like He's going to give me something bigger.
Okay.
right? So it's and I had this friend of mine tell me, he goes, man, he goes, until you believe in yourself that you deserve it, all those prayers
It ain't gonna
will
happen.
never be fulfilled,
Okay.
right? But we're taught culturally and everything else. You know, people say, well, shouldn't you just be happy with that? Well,
You be happy.
you be happy.
Yeah.
I respect your right to be average.
Correct. Okay. Next question, because all of us have kind of similar backgrounds, and not to get too personal, but Sean brought up a great point. Like, I look up to you from the family dynamic. You know, full transparency. You know, I was married before, and my family dynamic that I was setting up didn't work. You know, one of my mom's biggest quotes is she said, "You can't do what you haven't been taught." And I never understood that till I got married. I'm like, well, ain't nobody tell me how to sell Cuban sandwiches, and I sell the fuck out of them. You know, ain't nobody tell me how to, sell poke or hats or whatever, coffee, whatever the fuck, right? And so I'm like, ain't nobody teach me this shit. Ain't like I had a rich daddy to show me exactly this how you make a hat. But when I got to marriage, then I realized that quote was somewhat at least right. So my question to you is, right, how do you, because I view you as a boss from a professional standpoint, but you're also a great CEO of your home. Give us some pointers.
I've had mentors, man.
Okay.
Like, literally, when I lost it all, I had a friend of mine. He goes, "Listen, you've proved to the world that you can get girlfriends, but you've also proved that you're going to fail in relationships." And I'm like, "Ooh." Well, and he goes, "Every relationship you've had has been failed from the beginning because you're in it." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, you want people to treat you and show you love, but yet you're never going to tell them how to do that. So if you don't tell them, then it's always going to be doomed." And then he told me, he goes, "Start with the ugly. Tell them what the bad stuff is about you, and then let them decide whether or not they want to stay in that."
Now, now you brought up another question. What happens, because I've worked heavy on communication, what happens when you tell people exactly what's wrong, you talk softly, you don't raise your voice, you tell them exactly the game plan and they don't follow, then what you do? And I'm not talking about people that you can always walk away from or get a new girlfriend. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Some heavy hitters that you can't just go on another date with. These motherfuckers is here to stay.
Yeah.
So what's the advice for them, the motherfuckers you can't evict?
Boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to show me. And the gentleman who owned this building told me once, right? He goes, "I have no problem doing business with a snake." He goes, "There's two ways to do business with one. One, you control his head and he'll never bite you. When you're in fear, and we all want to feel loved. So sometimes we'll hold on to the snake by the tail because they still know how to love us to make us feel good. And we're going to continue to get bit. So it's just setting boundaries
Okay.
and figuring out, okay, that one's bitten. This one's bitten me several times.
Mm-hmm.
So let me lessen that, right? It's just boundaries and figuring out, like, how often I'm going to get bit.
Now, to your initial question, my comment, thank you, Rich, for that. My comment is, one thing else that's helped me is finding multiple ways to scale within the business. So I always go back to the restaurant analogy, the dine in, to go, takeout, mobile delivery, and catering, right? I'm going to sell this food item 6-7 different ways to help the revenue, because chances are you're going to need it. Same thing with the hats, direct to customers, retail, wholesale. So you asked the question, like, what has been the key to success or the roadmap for me? Having multiple ways, because chances are you're going to need them. Right, it's like, hey, you do personal training, you do memberships, you do bot, right, all these different things. You're getting into the wellness space, you're getting right, and you obviously we want to do some stuff with the merchandise. But you're trying to essentially scale your fitness or wellness model 6-7 different ways. And let's be real, some revenue in that scale is going to be bigger than others, but at least all of those cash registers are clicking.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I feel like the one mistake that people make is they're trying to do too many things. Yeah. So recently I've taken a look, what's making the most money, and then double down on it.
Correct.
Because if you spend your time trying to make money 5 different ways, it's split 20%.
For sure.
So, and I learned that you can have a complicated product, but your process can be simple. I'll say it again. You can have a complicated product, but your process can be simple. And that's what I'm after, is making my process simple, because that means it's easy for the customer. It's easy for them to purchase. It's easy for them to get results. It's easy for them to have an experience. It doesn't matter what it's like on the back end. We'll take care of that.
Correct.
And I find that to be very important to actually scale up. Like now I'm learning how to actually scale a business.
Yeah.
And it's not what I thought it was. It's not working hard
No,
at all.
no, it's
In
working
fact,
hard.
working hard creates more of a bottleneck because you just want to do everything. You want to do everything your way and not look at what everything else is going on. So in my opinion, scaling means you got to reduce all the shit that you're doing that you think that you should be doing.
Correct.
Talk with the people around you, your accountant, your CFO. Like, actually, not just look at how much money you're making, look at how you're making the money. You know, look at the memberships. That's reoccurring revenue coming in, not one big sale. So using that strategy now, I'm really understanding how to scale the company. I've simplified everything. I'm solely concentrating on having 2 memberships and everything else is an add-on. Why? Because that reoccurring revenue model is strong, it's big, investors want to invest into that, and it's scalable. Because then you can know, if I got 10 locations, this is what my reoccurring revenue is going to be. Or I got 30 services and you know, shit, people are buying one of each of them. Like, they can't scale like that.
No.
And you're going to pull that in front of an investor, they're going to laugh at you.
Correct.
They only want to see one page.
Yeah, 100%.
It's called P and L.
Yeah, see, that's
it.
you make money. Yeah,
That's
100%, 100%. That's all
know?
they want. No, for sure, you're right. That was important for the C, though. Yeah, especially to your point, like that is the real scale. Because if you got 30 different ways, then that's not. They're going to say, oh, well, that's just this case. You can't duplicate that, to your point. So anyway, that was my comment.
Yes.
But at least having the option, because I feel so many times, like to your point, you go into it, maybe it is a little different, not complicated different, but maybe the revenue is going to come from a surprise place you didn't think initially when you first started.
So
you know?
yeah, and let's talk about one thing specific, because each one of us we have very eclectic levels of clients. So you're selling someone a $10-15 million home. What type of experience and how do you curate that for that specific individual?
It's all feeling, right? It is all feeling. And those clients want to feel that they can trust you, right? No different than selling them. And this is why I love the restaurant concept, right? Outback is successful because they know who their client is. Fleming's is successful because they know who their client is. Barry's is successful because they know who their client is, right? We all want to feel good about what we're going to do, right? And they need to feel that I have their interests for them. I fired a client because she thought I wasn't looking out in her best interest.
Okay.
If you feel that, like, and I told her, I said early on, if you feel I'm not looking out for your best interests, let's just go find somebody else. If you don't trust me,
Correct. You mind if we skip the
Yeah.
I'm okay. So one thing I've always envied about your genre of a client is you are able to fire them. So for example, you come in for a hamburger. What am I gonna say? Now, unless you come in there, you're trying to tear up the place or don't have a shirt on, I can tell you to exit the building. But let's be real. If you come for Korean hot dog, we serving you that shit.
Correct.
Coming for right. So I can't say no to my client on the restaurant side. On the residency side, you went to the website. I don't even know my client. My client might live in Japan. What I'm gonna say? And I can refund them. I can do that, but that client is at least going to be able to make a payment and then have to be refunded. The only way I can kind of scale or protect or fire my clients would be wholesale. Right? A wholesale account on the residency side is somebody I could fire. Or a catering person on the restaurant side. But the typical day-to-day, 90% of our business is coming from just direct to customers or just a sale walking through the front door. That's the hardest part. And then what do we say? The customer's always right. That's the restaurant 101. So that's been the hardest part. So that's what I envy you about your business too. And to a certain extent, you can do the same damn thing. You don't, just because you got your membership fee, that don't mean you're going to approve the member. You definitely can kick the motherfucker out if you want to kick him out. You know what I'm saying? Let's be realistic here. But for me, I don't even know half my customers. Some of my employees I don't even know, right? Because you want to keep that level, right? So many different restaurant locations. Like how you gonna know every single dishwasher, every single cook? But that's what I do envy about that. And I do feel a $15 million client, it may take a lot to curate that feeling, but once they do trust you, you got a client for life. My client will be real with you because of the genre of business. They don't necessarily have to be loyal. You can't eat a burger every day. You can't eat a burrito, right? You can't eat some of the stuff, you're going to want variety.
Right.
Baseball cap. You might wear my hat today and a Gucci hat tomorrow, right? Let's be real. Not all your closet is my stuff. But with you guys, it's a little bit more ecosystem based, right? Like you're not going to go to Project Wellbeing and then sign up for 7 other gyms. especially if you know you got the results from where, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
You're not going to have 10 different real estate agents.
Yeah.
Unless you say, you know what, hey, you buying something in Portugal, call my, you know, they would almost ask you for a referral
Yeah.
because they trust you so much. So that's the only thing I envy about y'all, man.
So let's talk about like the company and then the brand. So
Correct.
let's use residency, for example. You have put an ecosystem together that enables them to make the decision to wear your merchandise.
Correct.
You don't have to sell it to them.
No.
You send it over and they make that decision to put on. So when you got Tom Brady and Gruden and Trent
Correct.
Williams wearing your hats on public TV, how have you curated that entire movement, that ecosystem to facilitate that?
So this is huge. The first thing, and I give you 3 different use cases because, you know, obviously I got a couple different examples. So let's start with the clothing line first, the lifestyle brand. First thing is anything you're going to do, you're going to solve people's problems. As long as you can solve somebody's problem, it don't even have to be a bad problem. I'm using problem for lack of a better word, but if you can find a use case or find a need, you always going to have a customer, you always going to have a job, you always going to be able to make money. So with residency, our use case or our heartstring piece was you care about your city, hometown, college town, where you currently reside, where you used to live, where you grew up, insert whatever city you care about. That's what I'm pulling on. Now, prior to us, you would have to almost affiliate that heartstring with a team. Okay, I'm from Green Bay. Well, are you naturally going to put on a Packer jersey? Well, maybe you can't stand the Packers, right? Maybe you can't stand your local home team. Maybe your team's not winning. Maybe your hometown doesn't have a team like Vegas 20 years ago.
Right.
You see what I'm saying with this? So that's the need we solved. Win, lose, or draw, you love your hometown, you're our customer. That's the residency side. We're going to do 2 restaurant sides. On one restaurant side, let's take the Poke, the Kubani Da, those fast casual sides. On those sides, the brand was the cuisine. I'm looking for good Cuban food. I'm looking for fresh poke. Now, you might not know my Cuban food or my poke from, a hole in the ground, but you know you want this genre of food, okay? And then this next level is like the Fat Sal's or the Earth Cafe. We did those concepts to bring them to Vegas because they had brand recognition. So those founders back in the day when they started, they created that branding. And so our logic was, as franchisees and licensees, was like, all right, we bring them here. You might not know us and might not even give a fuck who the hell we are, but you've heard these concepts because you were from L.A. or I always wish they would have brought one to Vegas. Right. Well, here we are. So that's the thing. And then the last piece of this, which you really care about, sometimes it's not the brand, it's the man.
Ooh.
Being real, sometimes it's not the brand, it's the man. Like
some people
are buying Apple because of Apple. Some people are buying Apple because they love Steve Jobs. Regardless, you swiped your card and bought Apple.
Yeah.
Some people, like, let's be real, right? You could have picked anybody's goddamn baseball cap to wear, but let's be real. The relationship that we built has made you a little bit more affectionate for the brand. Now, that doesn't mean I can produce a piece of shit product. My product has to be on point. Just because I'm your homie, don't mean that, you can't just do the homie hookup. But the brand, and sometimes it's the man. So to the Tom Brady analogy, the Trent analogy, let's be real. If it was dog shit, they wouldn't have put it on. Now, after they put it on, I think I've just done a great job of just like being the man after the brand.
Yes.
But the brand is what got him. Trent told me that. He's like, man, if you worked at McDonald's, his exact words, if you worked at McDonald's, Zach, I wouldn't wear my uniform outside of work. So just because I play for the 49ers, I'm a person. Now, I understand as fans, as whatever you look up, this person's making millions of dollars, but that person is an employee still.
Yes.
And I want to get in my car and just take a load off and be a normal person. And if I go to a restaurant or a nightclub, I don't want to wear my uniform, just like you wouldn't wear your Mickey D's uniform to a nightclub if you were trying to pull a girl.
Yes.
And so it's the same thing where I think that's how we got them at first. These guys like being exclusive. They like something different. I'm the first one that got it. But after a while, it became the brand and the man.
Let's talk about that.
Anyway,
there's 2 things you got.
Great question. I'm sorry I was long-winded, but
no.
amazing question. I had to give you different flavors so
Yeah.
people can see the plug and play.
So people just saw the deacon.
Yeah, here we go.
But what they need to understand is you have the company and then you have the brand. Right? And how do they work together? That is the most challenging part. But people, they don't necessarily support the company. They for sure support the brand.
Okay.
So my question to you is, how do you stand behind your brand?
Well, my brand is Rich, right? And in real estate, people always shop, right? And it's a big thing now because Compass Real Estate just became the largest real estate brokerage in the world because here's a guy who wanted to start a brokerage and he just bought Anywhere Real Estate and he closed it 8 months early. He now has 340,000 real estate brokers. Everybody he would compete with are now his employees, right? And the question is I don't work. I love Sotheby's. I love these other brokerages, but people work with me, right? So I'm the brand. I'm the company.
Correct.
I'm the hustler, right? So it's been interesting to watch because my wife will say, "So why don't you go work for a big one?" It's the big one never serviced me. It's not my shield.
No.
It's a shield. It's a necessity. My sword is Rich Robledo.
Right. Now, you asked a question about people and brands. Long story short, all of us are co-founders. Some companies I'm a co-owner, but some of these brands that you specifically talk about, I'm a co-founder. And what you'll find is that co-founder's crazy, and most people don't want to do that shit. I'd rather come into Project Wellbeing on year 25 and say, hey, I'm the owner. On day one, where was your ass?
Yes.
When the gym equipment was getting delivered, and I had to, when God forbid the roof was caving in, where was your ass? So that's the thing, right? Like, a lot of the brands, why people are infatuated or attracted to those type of brands, sometimes they realize I don't want no smoke. I don't want to be a co-founder. I'd rather just jump on the Robledo group after we've sold 300 homes and, I can stake a picture next to Rich, but I don't want to be there when Rich was, trying to study for his real estate license.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. And it's nothing, like I said, nothing against those people. It's different flavors. It's almost like the stock market. You might invest in Apple, but that don't mean you started Apple. Starting Apple is totally different than just buying a couple shares.
Yeah. And I think for me, how I stand behind my brand is I do exactly what I say I'm going to do. It may not happen in a day.
No.
It may not happen in a year. But if I say I'm going to do something, it's like I got a disease in my head. I've got an unwavering commitment to myself and what I'm saying that I want to do.
For sure.
And I'm putting it out there, and I put that out there into the world. I'm just going to go after for
100%.
it. I don't care if I went broke.
Yeah.
I don't care if I died. I don't care if I got no energy. I don't care if I had to stay up to 4 a.m. because I feel like that level, and I call that's like founder power.
Correct.
You got to be delusional, man.
Correct.
Like, trust me,
Yeah.
out of a room of 100 people, maybe half of one person's going to believe in you. So you have to have that unwavering support for yourself in order to execute these things. And I truly believe that they're just born with that.
For sure.
So, like, how do you become an entrepreneur? It finds you. How do you become a founder? It really finds you.
Yeah.
How do you become a serial entrepreneur? But the fact is that how you stand behind your brand is what people buy into.
Correct.
So, like I was saying, I am the same person in private that I am in public. I am one brand. I don't have to be a brand at nighttime and a brand in the morning. I'm the same person.
Correct.
I think that sometimes that makes people feel uncomfortable because the things that you say you're going to do and the way that you act are actually you.
Correct. Well, the reason I'm smiling is I use the gym analogy, right? Like people go, I'm gonna lose 10 pounds. And you obviously, the irony of, for me, that's you keeping yourself accountable. You can give a shit about other people's spit, but you making that testimony to yourself. This is the commitment. This is what we signed up for. So I think I did on one of your other podcasts when you first interviewed, right? But Kobe made this one statement. He says, I signed that contract with myself. And once I sign that contract, I don't go back and renegotiate that contract. We're talking to him, Kobe versus Kobe, right? We signed up here. We said we doing this. This is what we signed. We dated here, January 9th, boom. Here's what we signed up for. Now, after we both signed this contract, Kobe, the person versus Kobe, right? I'm not renegotiating that contract. That's what we said. That was the contract we made with each other. And I feel that's what you do with your stuff, right? It's like, we said we're going to do this. Just like somebody say, hey, January, I'm going to get in shape. Okay, we're going to lose 20 pounds. Here we go. Write that shit down.
Yes.
And that's what you're doing, which I respect and love.
And, like, even when you talk about fitness is, if you're just doing fitness to look a certain way, you're going to fail. I'm telling you, you need to have these powerful conversations with people and say, if you don't take care of your health, you will not be successful. You may get $20 million, you may get $40 million, but I promise you, when you're 55 years old, you drop dead from a stroke. It's because you didn't have the discipline to take care of yourself. I now understand the ecosystem of truly being successful. You have to make sure you're successful in your personal life too. You can't be floating all this shit out on social media and really not taking care of your personal life.
No, for sure. And so so one thing I always love, I give you flowers, man. Well-being. So I'm giving you flowers. And I'm gonna tell you personally. What made you? Why did you pick that word well-being? Because the reason I'm asking this is because being is active. Being is not. It's a constant state.
Yes.
It's not done. You know what I'm saying? It's not past or present, but it's constant.
It's
So
such
walk me through.
That's an interesting question, and how I came up with the name. I was doing a fundraiser called Jump for Joy with one of my friends,
Yeah.
and it was for basketball for underprivileged kids. And I just came up with the name randomly as I was sitting on the
Yeah.
sideline, helping the kids. I was like, what does this name even mean? And then just the name kind of stuck, and then spent 5 years trying to trademark it. It was interesting when that TM went up by it. And almost like damn, that thing's got some weight to it.
Correct.
I think I'm just understanding what that project well-being means.
Yeah.
I feel like it is an individualized statement. It's your own well-being project to yourself. It's your own oath and responsibility to yourself. Because at that time, wellness and well-being that didn't exist. This was 11 years ago.
Not at all. I know that. That's why I asked.
I don't even know what made me curate that name, but I'm understanding what it really means as I'm building this ecosystem. It's like your own personal oath to yourself,
Correct.
your own personal well-being project,
Yeah.
which obviously has many things that go and coincide in it. And I truly believe that's the vision, that's the statement. And now I know the mission of the company is
It aligns with
optimizing
that.
human performance
It aligns.
in all fashions.
Correct. So you hit me with something a long time ago. Would talk about we're human beings, not human doings. You hit me with a long.
Yeah.
I remember one of your songs when somebody told you that, and
Yeah,
it
one of my
aligns with
coaches,
it.
man. What I mean,
Yeah.
you go back and I don't. People always ask, well, how do you do it? Why don't it just kind of happens, right? But my coach told me, he goes, if you focus on how you're going to feel, everything else is secondary. And he told me, he goes, we are human beings, not human doings. People always want to tell you what they're doing. Few people are going to tell you how they feel, right? And I love Project Wellbeing because I believe my well-being is my self project,
Correct.
right? And I will tell people, and I've gotten into arguments with people, I go, faith, fitness, family, right? This guy, oh, family's first. I said, I'm selfish. Like, if I don't take care of myself, then I'm of no use to my family. I'm of no use to my clients. I'm of no use to the community. I ask God for help, then I go move. I've got to be fit because I've got friends that would trade. I ask a billionaire on his deathbed. You trade that billion for 20 more years?
Come on,
They're all gonna say,
take this shit.
take it because I know I can remake it.
Okay.
Right? And if you go back, like wealth is endless. Right? It's that
Numbers.
scarcity mindset. So you ask a billionaire on his deathbed, if give me that money and I'll give you 20, I'm willing to bet 100 would say, give me that 20.
Correct.
Because I know I can do it again.
Correct.
Right?
So
And that project is a personal project for yourself, right?
Correct.
Like I love the name as well.
So yes, that's why I asked you. Now going back to, like I told you, some trauma behind it. That's why I asked. You talked about taking care of yourself like that. So much of my early life, pretty much childhood, early adulthood, even entrepreneurship, everything was built off of pain. So you can talk about, kind of the same similar story, but to be more right, more just with me, like everything, whether it be you're trying to fill that pain void, and you become a pain junkie, and you never are being. And if you are being, the being you are is not positive, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
everything's coming from pain, negative, fuck it. And whether it be, whatever motive, even if you're doing positive things, right? Even if you're in shape. But to your point, if you're not the well-being of that person, which is a living, breathing thing, which can change day to day depending on whatever the fuck you're doing, is heavy. And that's what I feel a lot of people aren't working on, right? You can be in shape, you can look good, you can do all that, but if you haven't fixed that, then you're not really well-being. So that's why I asked that question about the name. Yeah.
I read a quote last night. It was a quick segment, and this guy, Viktor Frankl, was talking about people that are driven, that are passionate and entrepreneurs. Their toughest time is when it's calm. He goes, they don't know how to enjoy the quiet
Yeah.
because we want chaos. We want to fix problems, right? We're always looking for opportunities to, well, what's the issue here? How can I, and this is my issue. I'm always trying to figure out some way to monetize something. And it's difficult to enjoy the stillness, right? To be grateful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. And Viktor Frankl wrote about it. Right. And I was just like, damn, that man was smart.
Correct.
Yeah, that brings me up to I was talking with my business partner, and he was describing, Sean, what is the opportunity cost on that? And then he really like laid into me and hit me hard. I'm like, wow, okay. He's like, the only way you can truly, really grow and scale your business is to look at everything at the opportunity cost. So most people probably spend 99% of the time doing things that have no opportunity. The cost of the opportunity is they're all over the place, and they're not working on their own company. They're just doing things to look cool on Instagram. Because I can promise you, all the great things that actually run and make a company are not involved in social media.
Not at all.
Not at all. So now I analyze everything that I'm going to do, and I analyze what is that opportunity cost. Is it positive or is it negative? And if it's negative, I just have to get rid of it. I don't even think twice. People every day are asking me to do things or collaborate. It's like I can't. I have to stay focused. And if I want to scale my company, I have a 5-year strategic plan to scale my company across the United States. I will not mess it up. I will analyze the opportunity cost on every single thing that I'm doing. That's new for me because I'll be saying yes to everything.
Correct. Now, the only thing I totally agree. The only thing I think we all would agree on this, and where I differ, is what I call, I say this a million times, ROR, return on relationship.
Yes.
So the only thing I can't quantify in the opportunity cost is, and it's it's got to be like-minded people. It's got to be the right room. It's got to be, don't trust me. Don't waste your time on bullshit or bullshit people. But that's the only thing where, I'll circle the block. I'll come back, and you never know, like, what was the true opportunity cost on our relationship. So Rich and I, just real quick, Rich and I did a whiteboard about 2 weeks ago, and we came up with something. And when we stopped on that whiteboard, I'm like, Rich, what I'm trying to show you is 50 ways that we essentially got paid, right? Or 50 ways. Now, not to say, to your point, we're not trying to be overwhelmed. We're not trying to do a bunch of things that don't make sense, but these are options. These are options, right? You have 50 options. I'd rather have 50 options and pick 2 than not, need to and not have 50, right? And so that's what I can't really quantify. Like I can quantify opportunity costs with other stuff, but with people that are quality people, I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, I might win the Powerball and shit. There go your 100 million. You never know. Like the relationships is tough to quantify. But I think you do have to quantify them eventually because you might have to make some cuts. I do agree with that.
Here we go right here. 2026 is relentless alignment.
Yeah.
Right? It's focusing on what you want and making sure you have the right people on the boat. Because some people want to be on the boat just to poke holes.
Correct, 100%.
And I'll tell you how I combat that. It's creating the high performing team. So if you try to run your company like a family owned business, your family not gonna own it anymore.
Who you telling?
You have to have a high performance team. Why? Because they're players. Players are gonna play. Players that can't play are off the team. And why is that so important? Because 1 or 2 people can negatively impact 20 people across them. So you tell me it's fair that all 3 of us are working this hard, but then all of a sudden you decide to take 50% off of it, but then they do that for 6 months?
Come on.
No way. So when I'm instilling in everyone, I'm speaking to them on how important it is to all be a team player. We have these company goals that we will achieve together. And if we don't do it together, we will not achieve them. We will not have performance bonuses. We will not have growth. And that high performance mindset I find to be very useful when getting the right people on board.
Well, that's the visionary.
That's vision. And in turn, when you got the right people on board, that the person that doesn't believe in that, you think they feel comfortable with 5 people looking at them like, wow, you're really going to do that?
Yeah.
They will see themselves out. They'll work them. It'll fix them, it'll drive them to be better, or they'll just see themselves out. But either way, they got to go. Because they are destroying the actual mission, right? And it's that same in business, and it's the same in sports, in your personal life.
Correct.
You are a product of your environment. Better believe it or not. Everything that we do with another individual, it has a positive or a negative impact. No neutral.
Here it is. Call me Pastor Rich. It's not a lack of character for who they are. It's a lack of your character for allowing them to stay in your life.
Yes. I used to get mad and be like, man, why did this person leave me? And they weren't leaving me. You were pushing them away because it was no longer suitable for the person that you want to be. There's a difference between moving laterally and then having elevation in your life. And having elevation in life just requires some people are not going to make it to the next segment of that journey with you. And it's okay.
No, it is not 100%. But that's crucial. But anyway, that was my only thing where I can't I can't really quantify as that relationship, that ROR. But at the same time, eventually you do have to quantify it because your point, you can't keep carrying dead weight, can't keep giving everybody a free lunch. But I think that's the only thing, like. So what I do now, the shit I'm on right now, I try to do like it's almost like a hat trick in business. Like I try to, it's almost like I'm trying to dunk the ball, steal the ball. I'm trying to do. That's what I'm on right now. Like that's what gets my rocks off. That's
Yes.
like,
You're about to be Wemby.
Yeah, so low key, I call it the Michael Jordan disease.
Yeah.
Right. Like I'm not just happy scoring 55 points. I got to figure out the steals, the assists, you know what I'm saying? I got to figure out the whole body of work.
So what happens, or what do you do when you outgrow someone?
Oh man, so one of my favorite things. Sometimes you got to say goodbye without saying nothing, man. Sometimes you're saying goodbye, and then they just kind of know it is what it is. It's tough, man. It's tough, but I think to this person you're talking about, the person we're trying to develop, I think honestly you got to realize like I can't love them more than I love myself. And if that person is holding me back or hindering me, or quite frankly they just don't have the same like mind, it's nothing personal, but it's the same. It is what it is. I just think it's tough, man.
There was a great movie. I forget, it was about dogs, right? And you can see these guys and their journey when they were young, right? They were single. One dude was just chasing adrenaline, right? And he was telling his buddy, man, like, hey, you're a great writer. You should write. You should do more, right? And they started to separate themselves. And the last scene in the movie, because Luke Olson got married, had kids, and the movie is really about a dog, right? How they had to put their dogs down and how tragic that was. But at the end of the movie, it shows guys that were super close on the streets in New York, and they just looked at each other and nodded to themselves. Like,
yeah,
you just you kind of grow, and who got you here isn't going to necessarily help you get there.
Correct.
Yes.
And they and for sometimes they know it, and they're just going to let you. They got to let go.
Well, here's the thing. Someone's here and you're here, and they're helping you grow. And what happens when this happens?
So, yeah, I mean,
I know the story.
So let's say the goodbyes first, right? So this is, and I literally said this on something the other day. Don't use people, but getting the use. So here we go. I need a point guard. Am I mad that this person is not a center, a power forward, or like you need a point guard? So some of this stuff is not all bad news. I need this out of somebody. Now, if we start adding stuff to the list, that's not the person's fault. You recruited a point guard. You didn't say you needed a linebacker.
Yes.
Okay, so that's on us. Getting the use out of people. Now, that's got to be, that point guard's got to perform high level. You can't be a bench warmer, but you got to be the best point guard you can be. If that person does that, I ain't got to say no goodbye to that person.
Correct.
Second thing we got to do is the Michael Jordan disease. We got to stop putting our expectations on other people. You want to be this type of person. That person don't want it. They content. They content with a double cheeseburger. You the person that wants this. So you got to say, back to that contract like Kobe, this is my contract.
Yes.
This is your contract. Now, everybody ain't going to have a Kobe Bryant contract. That's not their fault. So some of it, what I've learned is I wanted people to have $100 million. I wanted people to get a Bentley. I wanted, people to do this. They didn't want that. They was happy with a double-double. So, and if they were honest about their double-double, then that's on me. And I'm talking about employees, ex-wife, family members, whoever. I wanted this lifestyle. I like lobster. You might like tuna. If you like tuna, I make a mean tuna sandwich. But tuna ain't lobster. And that's on us. That's not on them. Now, if they've lied to you, deceived you, or made it seem like they wanted to be, then that's when, it might have to be a little bit more of a malicious conversation. But if somebody's like, look, bro, I just want a good tuna sandwich, they don't need to go to Barry's and meet your scene and be in the private room. We can go make the tuna sandwich at home.
Yes.
So that's where I give grace if they've been honest. But if they try to deceive you and they talk about they want to be, the next Rich or Sean, then that's a different conversation.
Yeah.
Just letting people be themselves.
I'm comfortable with everybody from Yale to jail.
Right.
And I will love you with where you're at.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's why my wife laughs. She goes, your friends are from everything. And I'll remember one of my first Cigars and Conversations, I had a bathroom attendant sitting next to a guy who was worth 9 figures. They were dressed the exact same and still ask about each other till today, almost 3 years. They didn't exchange phone numbers,
No.
but they were like, "Yo, how's your boy doing?" I said, "He's doing good, man. He wanted me to tell you hello."
Correct.
Right? So it's love them for where they are,
Mm-hmm.
but love yourself enough
To understand.
to
what you need
understand.
to.
Right?
Yeah.
This is what I need.
Mm-hmm.
I need 30 from you.
Correct.
Yes.
Right? And that was the thing I love about Jordan with Dennis Rodman.
Yeah.
They asked him, "Are you friends with him?" No. We won championships, but that was a period of my life.
Correct. The use. I
The
got
use.
the use out of Rodman.
Yeah. And I knew when he was in Vegas, what am I going to be bad at him? He was being Dennis.
He told you who he was.
And he showed up. And the day after when they had the game, right, they've got film of Dennis walking into the practice. And he's
Yeah.
like, "I told y'all who I was.
Correct.
Don't be mad at me."
Yeah.
The team was mad,
Mhm.
and Michael was like, "He gonna give us them 16 rebounds. Dennis is gonna do
So
what he gonna do." And Carmen Electra was like, Michael Jordan walked into the room, or somebody walked into the room. I hid.
yeah.
Dennis was in bed, like I hid. I went into the closet.
So I got one funny story. I know you got something, but so you always love the quotes from my granddaddy. So it was one time my granddaddy was, doing something, and he called my uncle, who was his son, and he had a barbecue restaurant. And so long story short, there was a pit, we call it a pit master, who would cook the ribs. Pit master was named Tony. Tony was a stone alcoholic. So long story short, Tony shows up to the restaurant drunk one day, but still, doing the whatever. And so long story short, my uncle, he calls my granddad and say, "Pop, man, Tony's here dead drunk, and I don't know what to do and this and that." So slow down. My granddad said, slow down. He said, "Just do me a favor. Try one of the ribs." He's like, "Oh, let me try one." He said, "How they taste?" And they say, "They taste fine." My uncle said, "Go get them." My granddad said, "Go get that motherfucker a beer." You go talking about he's drunk. We know Tony's an alcoholic. How do the ribs taste? The ribs are good. Keep him drinking. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, cost of doing business. If somebody told you, now this is the first time and they never showed you who they were, that's a different story. But to the Jordan point, the Rodman point, and to the drunk pitmaster, I showed you who I was. You know I'm a drunk, but I can still cook these ribs and chicken.
I believe, Sean, it is our job to show others what is possible.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It is their decision
Yes.
for themselves to see if they want it.
I think that's the difference with me is sometimes when if I get mad at someone, like, "Why are you not performing?" It's not about work. Like, I want this person to be doing well in their life.
You want more for them than they want for themselves.
I don't care about work. I always say, man, if you work for me, I hope that I'm inspiring your life. I don't care about work. Project We is just a physical embodiment of the whole mental specimen that's out there. So I get mad because, man, I'm trying to level you up in your life. I'm trying to put amazing people around you because I didn't have that when I was their age, or just in general. Most people don't have any good people around them, so there's no framework to go off of. So if and that's why I take it so personally. Man, why can't this person just get it? I'm trying to help them level up in their life, and they're not buying into it.
I had one of my favorite questions, and I'll ask people, say, "Who are you?" And a lot of times, a lot of people can't tell you who they are. They're going to tell you what they have. They're going to tell you what they do, but they're not going to tell you who they are. And then I'm going to ask them, "Who do you want to be?"
Mm-hmm.
Nobody ever looks at challenging themselves. Nobody ever looks at doing more. And I had a young kid come into my office once, and he goes, after 6 months, 8 months being with me, he goes, nobody's ever asked me who I was, and nobody's ever asked me, "What do you want to do?" I always thought I was going to do what my dad did, or I always thought I was going to do this. And he goes, "I really don't know who I want to be." And I said, "You know what? At least you figured that out now. You know you don't want to be a real estate agent." And since then, he's tried 3 other different careers because he is in a moment of gray, right? And I believe confusion is in the gray, right? When you know exactly what you want,
you know
then
right
you're
away.
going to go, the road narrows.
Yeah.
Boom.
Come on.
And that's what usually starts making people feel uncomfortable around you.
Correct.
Because what happens when you know exactly what you want?
Come on. You ain't got no time for bullshit. And you on that charter, you know exactly. You on that course.
You're paying rent on your confidence every day. Like you said, you're gonna walk into that door, no matter how you're feeling. You could be half dead.
Yeah, come on.
I always tell people. Actually, I tell my vice presidents that, man, it don't matter what type of day I have. I said, you will never let you will never let me get caught getting bent in front of someone. I don't care. I'm a piece of iron in front of someone. I'll get bent up in my office, but you will never see someone affect me like that. I said, I'll deal with that shit later. But why is that important? Because sometimes you need to, it's not about teaching someone a lesson. It's just about standing into your ground of what you created.
Correct.
Like I created this, you know, you don't need to respect it,
But
you need to know how it was made.
Correct, 100%.
Right? I don't care if they don't respect it or not, but I know that they know how it was made.
Correct. Mark Twain, 2 most important days: when you're born and when you know who you are. Or exactly when you know the reason why.
And I'm telling you,
so you'll know what you want, who you want to be type.
the only way that you know who you are is if you go through something so traumatic, either mentally or physically, because other than that, you don't get that. It's an opportunity.
Correct.
The universe gives you, God will give you an opportunity to be like, okay, I'm going to let you learn now because you asked for the change. You asked for the money. You asked for this. It is not going to come in the form of what you asked it for.
Correct.
It's going to come in the form of the tools that you need. Then it comes with the discipline to use those tools to build what it is to then get what you want. And if you skip any of those steps, you'll never get there.
It ain't gonna happen.
And that's the thing. Every time you ask for more, you're going to be given a lot more than what you anticipate in a way that you didn't anticipate getting it.
One of my coaches told me, new levels, new devils. The guy that got you here is not going to be the guy to get you there. It's you.
Yeah, that part.
Rich, what are you going to change? How are you going to get better? Well, man, I think I'm happy right here. He goes, no, you're not.
That brings up the special term I like is must be nice.
Yeah.
Man, must be nice. You don't pay the bills. You
no,
don't.
no.
You don't have to worry about when you got to pay 40 or 50
no,
people.
no.
You don't have to worry about business partner
No.
taking all your money.
Come on.
You know, people just stealing your money.
That's the thing.
Employees taking your customers. You don't have to deal with that. Must be nice.
No,
you know
it's
what I'm
tough.
saying? It must be nice for you to say that to me. That's what must be nice.
Correct.
Would you want to stand in my shoes?
No.
I'm comfortable in these fucking shoes. Half the time I'm barefoot.
Oh, you tell me, right?
But I'm comfortable in my shoes because I know the weight of the gravity of the position that I'm standing in.
Yeah. No, 100%.
You know, and they don't want to do that.
No, hell, they definitely don't. But they want the end result. They want the end result. They want the end result of what they think is the mountaintop. Yeah. Hardest part too. You touched on something earlier about just being like sometimes with me, like you talk about like how the entrepreneur, the mind doesn't stop. Sometimes for me, from my history personally, when I've tried to enjoy it, that's when I know something bad coming. I don't know. It's just maybe it's just the trauma that I got. But you know, if I got to check today, you know, I know I got a bill coming tonight. I don't know. I don't know. I'm almost don't even tell me no good news because I know. Yeah.
But it is, and in that, I truly believe, as I'm getting older now, more experience, that you got to enjoy it when it's good, and you got to enjoy it when it's bad, because it's going to be good and bad. If nothing's happening, something is happening.
Correct. No, for sure.
If nothing's happening, something definitely is happening. You're going to find out whether it was good or bad at some point.
I've got a friend, and he's got a tattoo of a samurai soldier smoking a cigarette with arrows being thrown on him. You have to master the chaos. And that is that within yourself. And at any moment, just stop and master that chaos and breathe.
Okay.
Right? And that's what, the special forces guys, Mark, he goes, there's always shit going on. If you don't figure out a way to stop and enjoy where you're at, be present, and tell yourself, I got it.
Yeah.
Right? I got it.
And just
You've gone through that. Hey, this happened.
Man.
Thank you. I'm a bounce.
Yep.
It was given to me because I can carry it.
Yep. It
right?
only took
your
me like
testimony.
34 years to be learning this shit, man.
We always learn this. We always learn. No, for sure.
Now, man, just speaking about Mark and his level of service, look at the amount of people that influence us in such a profound way. In my opinion, that's my most valuable asset I have in my current life. Is literally the amount of people that influence us in such a powerful way that all these people would be in our circle.
Correct.
And that is amazing when you think about it, because most people do not have support and leadership that they could actually just turn to the right or left and actually see. Maybe less than 1%.
Oh my
truthfully.
God. Who you telling?
Truthfully.
And listen, I'm going to go back to Cigars and Conversations, right? I am blessed to have an incredible Rolodex and to have some of these younger guys to see some of those people. One of the biggest compliments, man, I had 3 people all within 1 week ask me to bring their kids. And I was just like, I asked, why do you want to, what's your kid going to do? And this one friend of mine, she goes, I'm a single mom, and I want my son to see how you walk. Like, what do you mean? She goes, you carry yourself differently, and your boys carry themselves differently. I can't teach that. It's something my son needs to see.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
do I walk differently? And you know, and we do have this, you know,
Aura.
life,
It's an aura.
life is about a dance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And after you've taken a couple of losses,
Oh, my
and then
God.
you get comfortable in your dance. And I tell my son, I said, listen, be the thermostat, not the thermometer. I want you to be able to walk into the room and turn it up
Oh, damn.
or turn it down.
Yeah.
I don't want you to gauge it. I want you to control it. And I think that's what all three of us can do.
Correct.
You do it in the gym, man. I mean, you get me motivated. I'm in there like,
Yeah. We both in there. Like, come
bro,
on, Sean.
we
not
in there
today.
doing flies,
Yeah.
and I'm doing numbers I haven't done in 30
Yeah.
years.
You see, we both skipped leg day this
Yeah.
week. Hey, we ain't want no smoke. I was still suffering
legs
from
are
arm
sore.
day. And you talking about legs. My arm, I need a new arm. You talking about a leg? Shit. Hell no, I'm dead. No, but back to Mark. What I love that he's the life or death. So like for entrepreneurs, right? We've seen it all, been it all, but his life or death stuff. And I even told him that night. I was like, look, man. I don't care who's in this room, what company, what size, whatever. You know, ain't nobody in here, you know, constantly on a day-to-day basis had to keep a bullet out their ass. So you are the different level of a barometer. Like my day, okay, whatever, shitty, whatever, but at least somebody going home tonight, right? Your day, you losing lives, or you have the risk of losing a life, quite frankly, your own. That's another level of pressure.
And then, you know, back to
That's
that
another
is
level of pressure.
the immense amount of pressure that you will feel as an entrepreneur. There's a couple, you know, people, they're either trying to fuck you over, they're
Yeah.
trying to steal from you.
Correct.
You know, no one's trying to help you, believe
Yeah.
it or not. Very little support is going to be given to you.
No.
So you got to go to the mirror and be like, I am my own support.
Come on.
I'm my own support today, tomorrow, and
Correct.
6 months from now.
Correct.
You know, because life changes, but you don't need to change in the way that you deliver your morals and your values to yourself. You know, and I'm starting to really learn that. So when someone says, "Man, you changed," I did for sure.
Correct.
Because I had to and I wanted to.
100%.
And that's powerful, because how many people in life never get that opportunity to change or to discover who they really are, or that type of confidence that you need.
Or who they could be. Ed Milet has this great quote. He goes, every day you wake up and you get to write one page in your life story. He goes, the sad thing is some of you guys are going to pass with all of this lost potential, and nobody's going to read your book.
Yep.
He goes, when I die, my grandkids are going to pull that book off the shelf and be like, this is Grandpa Ed? This is what he did? Ed did this?
Yes.
And that's what I tell people. I want my kids to, you know, take that book and say, this is where we came from, and this is what our dad did, and this is what the responsibility.
Right. And this
This is what's possible.
Come on.
Yeah. When I die, I'm gonna shake the hands of God, and you'll be like, you did it all.
And you know, when you ask that person, like, why am I here, man? I'm here because I want to make a positive impact in the world, period. That's what I'm here for. Every time I interact with something, I want it to leave somewhat of a positivity or somewhat of a lesson.
Correct.
That's my vision, and that's my mission, because then everything else, money comes from that, success in your business comes from that, your personal relationships, your friendships, all that comes from that.
Right.
That's my North Star. I want to leave a positive impact with other human beings, period.
I agree. I love it, brother. No, 100%. It's about what we can give.
That's it. It's not a
No.
It's not a blessing if you keep it.
No, hell
It's
no.
only a blessing if it's shared. Deacon.
We both think. You the Reverend today. You the Reverend Robledo.
All right,
For sure.
drop a finisher line. I know you got something cooking up in there.
Man, I think just as long as people stay in the game, I think that's the thing. So many people, they're put to all of our points, they're putting a time limit and restriction on where they want to meet their goals, and based on that restriction or time limit, time constraint they put on it, they either check in, check out, or they already talk themselves out of it. So I think just staying in the game, staying involved, and understanding it's gonna, you need to do the body of work, but at the end of the day, some of these things do take time. Most of them do, and it may not be on your clock. Or it's going to happen when it's supposed to, and while you're in that process, you got to enjoy that process too. So that's the thing, man. And that's my 2 cents. That's kind of what I've learned. Kind of been, like I say, the last 6 months, the biggest thing for me, just understanding, like, hey, just enjoy this process, enjoy this development. You know, as long as you're seeing progress, you're not staying stagnant. You know, it's going to happen.
Love it.
Yeah.
My finisher, buddy. So I think I'm going to start with, I think so many people nowadays don't know who they are, don't know who they want to be, and I think that we're all blessed. There's only one Sean.
Correct.
There's only one Deacon down there.
Yeah, yeah.
So I believe it's figure out who you want to be and be you out loud.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right? That's it. Like that's the gift. There's only one of you.
Mm-hmm.
So with God's grace, do you and do big. Right?
Yeah.
And remember, you're going to bet on yourself because it's going to come in ways. But remember, you're your biggest gift.
Correct.
I think mine is like, sometimes when you're growing and developing as a person, you don't really see it on a day-to-day basis, right? So I think that's something that just like the baby shower showed me. I'm like, man, this is a room full of people that love and believe me, that support my significant other, and that was huge for me.
Mm-hmm. And
Like
will
that-
support your child as well.
Yeah, and that was huge, man. Seriously, I still can't believe it. But that showed me that all those decisions that I'm making, do come to fruition. That it is worth it, and that makes me keep going. So I'm really ready to lock in for this year and continue to build off of that. And I want everyone to experience those things.
Yeah. For sure, brother. I'm excited. Happy for you too.
2026. Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's get it, y'all.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.